Welcome to The Tipping Point. Listen into this bite-sized learning series as part of the Vacation Rental Success podcast, or watch the video version on the Vacation Rental Formula Business School's YouTube channel. This episode is brought to you by the kind sponsorship of PriceLabs, who will help increase your revenue and occupancy with their dynamic pricing and revenue management tools. PriceLabs have just launched their 2023 breakthrough release of the next generation of revenue management. This brand new cutting-edge solution leverages hyper-local data to optimize rates and increase your revenues like never before. Visit the link in the description of this episode for more information. Get ready to fire up your business. Here's your host, Ed the Bear.
Welcome to another episode of The Tipping Point. And in today's episode, we're going to be talking about your About Us page. Do you have one? What's it like? I want you to really reflect on what your About Us page looks like. Because as more owners and managers embrace a book direct strategy, tactics to build trust and confidence with guests are becoming really more important. They're not going to entrust you with their business if they don't feel comfortable doing so. This means you have to tell them who you are and why they should feel safe booking directly with you. Sharing your story of how you got started and why you love the hospitality business is the best way of creating a connection with them, and your About Us page is where you have the opportunity to build that trust. Bland, corporate-style page that just describes your company and services is boring. It's not sufficient anymore. No one's going to want to read about your values and your mission. They want to know about you. So you need to tell a story that will capture their attention, intrigue them, and encourage them to stick around on your site and find out more. Your goal is to make connections with your audience, to resonate with them, and help them build trust and confidence in you. I came across this story that illustrates what I'm going to be talking about. I went to Munich to stay with my sister around Christmas time, and I noticed a large volume of green glass pickle ornaments on every stall in the Christmas markets. So apparently this German tradition started in the 1880s with an enterprising American sales clerk in one of the old Woolworth retail stores. Some of you will remember those. They were selling glass Christmas ornaments in the shape of various fruits and vegetables, and the Woolworth customers loved the audience and bought them all up, except the green glass pickles. It probably seemed a really weird thing to put on a Christmas tree. Anyway, faced with a huge inventory of unsold glass gherkins, the clerk made up a story claiming that the ornament represented a very old German tradition. A real pickle was always hidden somewhere on the family Christmas tree, and the first child to find the pickle got an extra present or got to open their presents first. Their customers in New York City, many of them immigrants from Europe, fell in love with the fabricated story and bought all the pickles they could find. Some of them sent them to relatives in Germany, proudly telling them they could now use a glass pickle on their tree instead of a real one. The American glass pickles became a sort of status symbol in Germany, and soon everybody in the motherland wanted the Woolworth ornaments. Today, the glass pickle is found on nearly every tree in Germany. The story made a real connection with the immigrants who wanted a tradition that was part of their homeland. And in the words of J.K. Rowling, there's always room for a story that can transport people to another place. So your goal is to make connections with your audience, to resonate with them and help them build trust and confidence in you. I'm going to talk about 5 key components of a great About Us page and what you can do to make it stand out. The first one is understanding your relationship with your audience. It's important to know who your guests are, as that will guide you in the ways that you connect with them. Diane Denton has properties on the coast near Sydney, Australia, and she specialises in welcoming guests with horses and dogs. Her About page has a photo of her and her husband Chris, along with their dogs, and it talks about Diane riding her horse on the beach and wanting to share that experience with other horse owners. She connects with her audience at the place they want to be, which is riding a horse on a beach and bringing their dogs as well. Secondly, start with the end in mind. Write out the reviews you would love to get, the one in which your persona describes what they love most about your place, what they did when they were there, what they felt, and the memories they're taking away. This activity really hones in on the specifics of what your guests are looking for in a vacation and gets you on their wavelength when you're writing your story. Nancy McAleer of Anna Maria Island Home Rentals starts her page with testimonials from her guests that highlight the hospitality they experienced from Nancy and her business partner, Terry. She then goes on to expand on the story of how the two families would vacation together in Florida and ultimately decided to grow their vacation rental business there. Then you define your signature story. We all have that story that defines our place in this business. Mine was about my first experience of an Ontario rental, which left us with a full holding tank, a cottage overrun with mice, and we got stranded in the boat when the motor died. I've told that story many, many times. However, the relevance has faded over the years as that experience wouldn't really resonate with today's guests. So I now have a new signature story. My new one is about booking a place in Como, Italy, when I went to a conference a few years ago and feeling ghosted in that wide open space between booking and arrival. I even began to doubt the apartment we rented even existed and started to worry before I got there because I'd heard nothing from the management company. In my new story, I talk about things I wanted to hear about so I could plan my stay and how our company would never allow anyone to feel that way, and we'll make their vacation planning effortless. Katie Ruotola owns budahome.com and rents apartments in Budapest. She tells the story of her courageous grandmother, Suzanne, who started up a guest house in communist Hungary in the late 1960s. In 2013, which is 33 years after her grandmother's death, Katie bought that same guest house and started her journey into vacation rentals. The story's fascinating, and it's accompanied by some great photos. Katie's story illustrates the next step as well, which is keep it chronological. A story has natural momentum to it. If you simply state what happened in chronological order, many people actually neglect doing this. You'll captivate your audience. So think about your story and keeping it chronological. Finally, map your story. A good story uses the map principle. It's memorable, it's appealing, and personal. Tyann Marsink from Branson Family Retreats kicks off her About Us page with a memorable headline that is accompanied by an equally memorable photo. And that photo actually appeared in Condé Nast magazine. We eloped on the Isle of Skye in an abandoned chapel, is the headline. Tyann and her husband Nat run Branson Family Retreats as well as growing the charming and unique Missouri house brand. Her story appeals to her persona as she shares personal information about her family, her children, and her grandchildren. Because the people who come to stay at houses in Branson are these same sprawling and close families. So we all have an amazing story to tell that will capture attention. Theirs is intriguing and encourages a site visitor to read on. So there you are. You should now be ready to write or rewrite your About Us page. You can go down below if you're on YouTube and download our free About workshop, which gives you all the tips to get your About Us page off and running. Or if you are listening on the podcast, you can go to the show notes and download it there. Let me know when you've done it, because I want to share some of these in a future episode. Thanks for watching and listening.
We hope you enjoyed this episode of The Tipping Point. Don't forget to check out this week's sponsor, PriceLabs, to help you master the art of dynamic pricing for your short-term rental business. Click the link in the description of this episode for more information.